Welcome to the Nest Climate Campus. I'm Katarina Rolfsdotter-Johnson, and I'm honored to have as my guest here Lisa Jackson, Vice President, Environment Policy and Social Initiatives at Apple.
That's right.
It's a delight to see
Good morning.
you. Good morning. So as We Mean Business is nearing it's having its 10-year anniversary, it's quite clear that it's been pivotal, this organization, and really how it's been pushing companies around the world to take more climate action and take more climate action seriously. So you've seen a significant shift, I'd say, in how the organizations tackle these crucial topics. So could you talk us through a bit from your perspective, your view on how the corporate world has changed its approach to sustainability in general and climate action in particular?
Yeah,
and
happy
also, of
to.
course, talk a bit about the Apple work.
Of course.
Previous and also the future.
I am happy to, and I couldn't agree more about the shift, and I couldn't agree more that We Mean Business has been a crucial part of that shift. You know, I think back to 2014, our CEO, Tim Cook, helped launch We Mean Business, and at that point, it was pretty unusual to have a CEO, and of course, I think of the best company in the world, but a CEO who was standing up for climate action and saying to his fellow CEOs, hey, we need to do this. This is part of the responsibility that we have. And so you fast forward 10 years later, and it doesn't feel like a pioneering moment. If you look around us, you see companies that are touting all the work that they're doing. You see CEOs speaking about it as well. For us, you know, that moment was not the beginning, but definitely a step up in the work we were doing. And I would say the most important work was around clean energy, which was first the continuation of our work to run on renewable energy. And we've been running as a company on 100% renewable energy since 2018. But also that year and the following year, we really stepped up the work with our supply chain. And those partners have now put, 320 of those partners have put over 16.5 gigawatts of clean energy on grids around the world. So, you know, from that moment and that moment of real action and call to action has come some amazing work.
I totally agree. It's amazing work that this organization has nudged, and also, of course, that Apple is doing. So could you point out a few milestones? I mean, you mentioned the clean energy, more or less a revolution in many areas that has been taking place, but any other significant milestones that has taken place in this transition that we're talking about?
Yeah, thank you. Look, I think, you know, the 2018 moment was very important, but by 2020, in the sort of Apple tradition of doing something good and then looking for the next great thing, we announced that we had a 2030 goal. We call it Apple 2030. And we said every product that we make, every product that we sell, and every customer, every user who uses an Apple device, all that should happen on clean energy, and we should have a carbon neutral company. Those are two separate things. I mentioned 2018, we're running on clean energy. All of our data centers, all of our retail stores around the world, all of our corporate campuses, if you see an Apple logo, running on clean energy. But then the next thing was that supply chain. And when we started, we had a handful of suppliers who were stepping up. We launched not only support in the idea of financial support to show them how to do it, but also an academy. Hey, look what we've done. You can do it too, whether you're our size or whether you're much smaller. How can we show you the way to move to clean energy for your Apple production? And as I mentioned, today we have 320. The one other milestone I'd like to just mention, because it's so important and We Mean Business has also been a champion, is the circular economy. And at that point, we recognized the tie between the materials we use, we're a hardware manufacturer, and the impact on the climate. And so, you know, this year, I think 22% is recycled material. And, you know, we're well over 50% of the material used in the latest phone, the cobalt, is recycled. And we have a goal for 100% recycled cobalt that we're on track to meet for next year in all Apple designed batteries. And recognizing what impact that has, not just on our precious resources, our air, our water, our social impact, but also on our climate goal, has been a wonderful revelation for us. So being part of the circular economy, being part of the clean energy economy, being part of a supply chain, industrialization and decarbonization, all those are things that we're super proud to be a part of.
Fantastic work. So from your perspective, how important is consumer pressure here? And the sort of the acknowledgement of the role of the consumer in your transition here.
Yeah, I do think it is important for consumers to know what is happening and who is doing what. And it can be very confusing for consumers because they hear claims from everywhere. So from the very beginning, we have tried to be transparent and pretty plain speaking about what we're doing so that we, if you say you run on 100% renewable energy, people get that. If you say, hey, we're looking to make sure that energy when you charge your device is renewable, they get that. And our goal has always been as a company, and it sort of comes from who we are, that the customer shouldn't feel the pain of that. They should feel the pride and the happiness of it. And so a lot of the work we do isn't because of overt pressure. It's because we want to delight our customers with the fact that the device that they love for many reasons, they can also love because we're thinking about the impact on the planet and want them to feel good about that. And also making sure that these devices, which last a long time, can be traded in so that they can have a long life and then eventually recycled as well. So I would say customers' voices are never unappreciated, but responsible companies should try to anticipate what the customer needs and wants and go there before they might be demanding it. Anticipate and get there.
Thank you. So where would you say corporate climate action needs to go next?
I do think that the two places that we have to amplify and just keep finding ways to go are on clean energy, although we've made tremendous progress and we're really proud. Most companies have supply chains that are many levels deep, and we have to find ways to export this clean energy usage and economy so that it becomes the norm for manufacturers and for people in our supply chain. And that's going to require bringing people along, as well as in some cases saying, hey, we now have an expectation, as Apple does, that our suppliers run on clean energy and that they work with their suppliers to ripple that out into the world. I think the circular economy, the idea of really being thoughtful about the materials that are used, especially in our telecommunications, computer, IT world, a lot of the materials we use, we need to think about their impact and recycle and reuse as much as possible. I think there's tons of opportunity there. And then for me, the last piece is no matter what we do, in order to make our 2030 goal, we have to reduce our emissions by 75%, and we can, but there'll be 25% that the technology hasn't caught up with yet. So we need to do two things there. We need to invest in that technology to ensure that we're still moving us forward. We're innovators, we love that. But we also need to continue to invest in carbon removal from the atmosphere. I believe strongly that we have to have nature play a part in that, because nature to me is communities. And so when we invest in afforestation, when we invest in mangrove restoration, when we invest in grasslands restoration in Kenya or in parts of Africa, we're also investing in communities, in biodiversity. And I think having companies show up and be those kinds of stewards, for me, is the most complete way that we can serve our customers and our planet at the same time.
Well, thank you for putting it so eloquently. It's been a delight talking to you.
Oh, I loved it too.
And best of luck for your important work. Big players need to move fast and with focus, and you do. So thank you very much for that.
And thank you for what We Mean Business is doing and for keeping our eye on the ball for these 10 years and beyond.
The eye on the ball.
Yes.
Thank you.